pleased to be here with my parliamentary colleague Sue Lyons to be out here standing with you on this very important matter. And don't let Tony Abbott lecture you about xenophobia. Here is a man whose whole career has been built on driving wedges in our community, and we've seen the work that he has been done to try to destabilise the multicultural agenda across this country. I want us to really think and be very proud of our history over the last 60 years with China, and indeed our determination to engage with Asia. In the leading up to the Second World War, it was the union movement and the maritime unions in particular that were the first to stand up for the Chinese when they were invaded in the 1930s. It was the union movement that insisted that we support the Chinese and that we not be exporting pig iron to Japan to aid them in their work in China. We then saw John Curtin really make that seismic shift in Australia, saying we are no longer looking to England, we are looking to our region, we are going to place ourselves in that region. It was Gough Whitlam who was the first Western leader to go into China and resume diplomatic relations. I mean, we have got an incredible history in Labor, within the union movement, of engaging with Asia. We want to be part of this. We want to be part of this, our region. We want to be part of the great economic opportunities that are driving us. Australia is becoming more and more multicultural. And I can tell you, in my electorate, 46% of the people in my electorate were born overseas. And across the board, whether or not they're your traditional Anglo-Celt, or they are Vietnamese, or Indian, or Chinese, they are concerned about this issue of jobs for our future, jobs for their kids and for their grandkids, because they understand the essence of the Australian story is about jobs. That this is a land where you come to this land not with inherited wealth and privilege, but you make your way, you make your opportunities for yourself and for your family through the availability of decent, well-paid jobs. And that is what you guys are standing up for. So don't let Tony Abbott tell you in any way, shape or form this is about xenophobia. We're proud of our record of our engagement with Asia and with the Chinese people. But what is absolutely critical to understand has been said here today, that when you look at this agreement, when you look at the detail of this agreement, it is completely clear that we are going to undermine Australian jobs. We look at the facilitation agreement. So you've got a big project, $150 million project, and there's many projects that fall into that bracket these days. $150 million is not a very high threshold. And it is quite clear in the Memorandum of Understanding that accompanies the trade agreement that labour market testing is optional, that the wages and conditions, the skill levels, the English proficiency, all of these standards are able to be contracted out of through a side agreement. So these are important issues for us. This means that we may see a large project somewhere in Perth, somewhere in the regions come in, be set up, and in fact, instead of us getting the usual benefit from it, we will not get that benefit. We will not get the jobs. Those jobs will be filled by overseas workers. Now, we understand those overseas workers. We're not against those overseas workers, but we understand the Australian story demands that we have employment. That is how we make our society equal, by ensuring that we have these jobs. We go then, and it is not just for those agreements, as Alex said, it is, when we look at the Chapter 10 provisions, they make it very clear, very broad class of people, anyone with a technical skill, a professional skill, a trade skill, able to come into this country, and there will be no labour market testing. It says it very clearly in the agreement. So what do we hear from from Minister Andrew Robb? What do we hear from the Prime Minister? Oh, there's guidelines and there's policies. It will never happen. Well, we know it will happen. We know that there are people that the Liberal government does not share our commitment to an egalitarian society. It doesn't share our commitment to spreading the rewards out throughout our community, but we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I say to you again, you be proud of what you're standing for. You are very clear. We are very clear. This is not about xenophobia. This is about being honest about this agreement and standing up for Australian jobs and standing up for the Australia that has meant so much to us, old and new alike. Thank you very much.